Good morning, YouTubers. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel, I should say. Well, it arrived. My wife has bought me an air rifle. Okay, this is the first air rifle that I have owned since the 1980s. Okay. The last air rifle I owned was a Crosman. It was a Crosman pump, which was a 177, and I believe it was dual ammunition. It was a pellet and BBs, and it was the Crosman pump was, it wasn't a Springer, it had the forestock sort of came out like this, then you pump the pressure back in, and you could pump it about 10 times if you wanted more pressure, but I generally pumped it once for a BB, and it held about, I don't know, it held about 10-12 BBs in the side of it, or you could load pellets one at a time and then shut it, had a cocking mechanism. It was a really good gun. It was all plastic, obviously the stock and everything, but it was a really good gun. And then I got my firearms license, and I was more into firearms at the time, and so I'd sold the Crosman, regretfully actually, because I mean, looking back, all the air guns I've ever owned, I've pretty much, apart from the Realm, the Underlever Realm, I'm quite happy to see that go to the scrapyard. But I had the BSA Cadet, and I had the BSA Meteor when I was a teenager, and they were cracking guns, really good. I mean, if I saw them come up in a second-hand shop, I'd buy them. Didn't even matter if they worked or not, because I'd just bang them on the wall and get them fixed one day when I get around to them. But they were cracking guns. They were really, really good. And the BSA Meteor, the 2.2, that came with telescopic sight, which was a novelty. I don't really know much about telescopic sights. I used it because it was on the Meteor when I first got it, and it was reasonably good. I liked it, but I took it off in the end because I just preferred the iron sights, the normal sights. Anyway, the wife said, I'll get you an air rifle, and you can do reviews on it and talk about it. And I wanted to get something cheap, something that you'd buy a teenager, you know, as a starting rifle, so to get into the sport, learn how to shoot. Because without a doubt, if I hadn't have had those two air rifles before I joined the army when I was 17, learning to shoot would have been a lot harder, as it was for most young lads who joined the army. First timers, you know, they'd never fired anything before, and they started off with we all had the SLR, the FAL in those days, and they started everyone off on the 2.2 range, because the Heckler and Koch did a conversion for the 2.2 rimfire, and they started everyone on the indoor range firing the SLR but with 2.2, and then they progressed onto the 25-yard range with the full bore 7.62 times 51. And of course, because I was such a good shot with an air rifle and spent many hours firing air rifles as a boy, a 7.62 SLR at 25 yards, it was impossible not to hit the bullseye. So I only got to fire the 5 rounds, and that was it. Tick, you've passed. And that was me for the whole day. You didn't get to fire another round, whereas all the people who closed their eyes and pulled the trigger and turned their head away as they were firing it, you know, they'd be there firing hundreds and hundreds of rounds until they passed, because there was a score you had to achieve to pass. So I really shot myself in the foot. Didn't get a lot of rounds, but then I joined the shooting team, so it sort of made up for it in the long run. Anyway, wife's got no idea when it comes to, and she said to me, what do you want? And I said, I don't know. So I had a look. This spoiled for choice, really. There's so many air rifles out there at a good price. I mean, the best ones are PCPs for sure, but you're looking at thousands and thousands of pounds for a really good PCP. And I wouldn't recommend anyone started with a PCP anyway, so I thought I'd start with what I know best, and that is break barrels. Now, break barrels today, as you know, you break the barrel, you put your pellet in and you shut it, and then you point it and shoot it. That's the nub of it. You don't need a compressor, you don't need all the extra pump and hand pumps and all kinds of things. CO2s, you don't need a bag of CO2s to pressurise them. It's self-contained. You need the gun and a bag of pellets. So I bought well, she bought it, but this is the one I recommended. It's the Crosman, as you can see, Shockwave, which is the basic sort of air rifle. I've got it here. It's a basic air rifle. If you're going to buy it for a teenager, it's an excellent buy. It's about $200. Okay, it was about 240 euros, I think, something like that. On not quite on Amazon, but it may as well have been. Amazon do sell air rifles, but they didn't have one that I liked, so I was looking for something that I was familiar with, something that I liked, and could talk about confidently without bullshitting and making things up. So I'll just put that back down there. Shouldn't lean guns against walls, but right. So what sold me this one, apart from ignore the sight, it does come with a free sight, a telescopic sight, which is in the other room. I will be fitting it at some point, but I don't really know a lot about telescopic sights. When I was in the shooting team, we used to use iron sights. That was it. Iron sights, the normal sights on the gun. Even the when I changed to the LMG, as we call it, the Bren gun, 7.62 Bren gun, we only ever fired up to 300 yards, and we only ever used iron sights. We never used telescopic sights. I know kids with air rifles like to have telescopic sights so they can play sniper. You know, I've seen a lot of these guys who were really into the PCPs. They've all got these big fancy sniper scopes on there that cost a minimum of £200 for a good one, upwards. I mean, in my day, the sights would cost more than the gun. So I've never been into telescopic sights. Okay, so I will play with the telescopic sight that comes with the gun, but I'm just going to use iron sights for now. I'll play with them later because I'm not an authority on telescopic sights. Okay, I've played with them. They seem okay. I don't know. I'm not really the man. I'm sure there's loads of people on YouTube who'll be able to fill you in better on various scopes. I've seen people with telescopic sights shooting at 20 yards, and I think, 20 yards? Can't you see the target? Why do you need a telescope to see the target at 20 yards? You know, how bad maybe their eyes are bad and they do need a telescopic sight, I don't know. Some guns don't even come with sights anymore and you have to put a telescopic sight on them, but we never had them. We didn't have red dots. I'll get a red dot, I'll try them. I've never fired a red dot. You know, laser sights. I fired laser sights when I was doing paintball. Did a lot of paintball at one time, but you can't see the red dot in sunlight in Spain. You can't see it. You've got to wait for low light conditions before you can even see it. And then they are pretty good because we stood a load of bottles up on a wall and I was shooting from the hip. So if you're shooting from the hip with a BB gun or something like that, the red dot would be brilliant, because you just stop on the bottle, pull the trigger, boom, the bottle's gone. You think, wow, I'm impressed. I like that. Anyway, getting back to the air rifle. What made me pick this one? Oh, well, there's a few features that appealed to me. One, the main one with this, is where there used to be a big spring inside the compressor here. These things have a NITRO piston now, like you get in the car when you open the boot lid, the trunk as they call it in the States. They've got these gas cylinders that hold the weight up, and then they've got one of them which you compress. Okay, and when you fire it, it's supposed to be quieter and it's supposed to produce more power. One of the claims to fame on the box here, you might see it says Quietfire sound suppression technology, and it's supposed to be more powerful and produce more power. So, having never had one of these before, gas ram, nitro gas ram or something they call it, Crosman, I only ever fired springs, and I thought, what the hell, I'll give that a go. That's new, that's something new. And the other thing was this barrel, this very curious looking fat barrel, which is claimed to be a built-in silencer. I don't know how well that's going to work, but again, that ticked another box for me. So it's quieter gun, quieter barrel, so you're not going to have big loud cracks attracting people's attention. What's going on? Mobile phone, call the police, terrorists. You know, you get the SWAT team coming interviewing you when you're out having a plink, and you don't want that, do you? So that kind of idea appealed to me. So there's 2 ticks in the box. And the other thing that I like is the black plastic stock. Now, again, from the military days, you know, we had the FN SLR, and the older ones were made of wood, the forestocks and the grips and things, but all the later ones that we had were all black plastic. Your M16 was black plastic. There's a lot of black plastic and polymers these days in guns, and so this one has got the black plastic, and it's the hooligan in me, the squaddy, that wanted the black plastic, because I've not had a black plastic gun before, an air gun. They do a really nice one. If you look on the internet, there is the same gun made by Crosman, and it's called the Remington, and it's all the compressor and the barrel are identical, okay, and it's beautiful nickel polished, and it's got a nice, really nice wood stock on it, and it's the same money, it's the same gun. And I looked at the two and I thought, you know, I really like the nickel one and the wood stock. That's, you know, if I was going to hang it on the wall and not play with it and batter it, you know, that would have been the one I'd have gone for, and that got a free scope as well. But I went for the black plastic one. Okay, so here it is, and it looks, when getting it out the box, it looks exactly what I'd expect, you know, from an air rifle. It's got a nice feel to it around the front here. It's nice and thin, it's nice and easy. When you bring it up into the firing position, you know, it only just, it's quite small on me, I think, you know, but you can just get your eye to the right height. If I needed to go any lower, I wouldn't be able to make it, but it feels like it's just right, albeit slightly on the small side. But I mean, I'm an adult, 60 odd years old, you know, so for a teenager that'd be great, you know, for anyone, I think. I mean, I'm an average size guy. I'm 5'9", and I'm about 80 kilos. Don't know what that is in stones, but I'm average sort of height for my age, and this gun fits me really well. You could fire it if you're left-handed just as easily. Yeah, it's completely ambidextrous. It's identical on both sides of the stock. So if you're left or right-handed, $200 gun. I don't think you can go wrong with this. It's got a nice safety catch in there, just in front of the trigger. See, that's a little trigger in front of the big trigger. Pull it back like that, that's safe, and you push it forward, and that's on fire. It's got a nice pull on the trigger. I've been round it, I've greased it, I've fired grease into all the critical parts, and let's see if I can do it yet. Break the seal. No. There you go. So I've had a few people complain that they can't. Quite a firm pull on it, and of course, as standard, you've got the rifling in the barrel. This is a 177. It's not the 22. The 22, you can order the same gun in 22 or 177. It's the same price. I don't think there's any difference. They just put a different barrel on it. I'm pretty sure you're going to get the same working parts. We've got rifling in there. My eyes are not that brilliant. I need glasses to see. Excuse me. This is what happens when you get older. You need reading glasses. Never needed them when I was young. Let's have a look. Yes, it seems to be clockwise looking down it, because a lot of the rifling is anti-clockwise, but yes, it's got a good few turns. I don't know what the twist ratio is on the rifling, but it's got nice rifling in there, and I can't see any sign of any silencer, but whether or not that silencer is any good, or whether it's just a gimmick, I don't know. It might just be a gimmick. It could just be just for sales. But one thing I did notice yesterday, if I wanted to decock this in the old days, I'd just pull the trigger, and you don't seem to be able to do that, because normally I'd take the tension off, pull the trigger, and then the barrel up. and then it's decocked when you return it to normal position. Of course, with a Springer you wouldn't want to leave the spring cocked. I'm told that you can leave this cocked, but that is unusual that you can't release that pressure when it's cocked. It's cocked. You've got to return it. I need to literally teaching your mother to suck eggs. I really do need to make sure there's nothing in the barrel there isn't. Okay, and you can't. Now I can release it. Hopefully. Well, we've got to see if it cuts off, and then let me try that. No, it's still not letting me decock it. Take the safety catch off, safety catch on. No, it's not letting me fire it at all. Is it defective? That is weird. That's very weird. Why does it do that? I would have thought that you could decock it when it was cocked. The safety catch doesn't come on automatically. I haven't fired a single shot through this, by the way. It's going to build my muscles. Let's see if it'll do it now. No, it will not decock with the barrel back. It must have some sort of safety device. Anyway, it seems to be working okay. That's a little bit annoying that you can't decock it once you've pumped it. It's got a couple of rails on the top there. I think they're 11mm. They're quite close. And the scope does come with mounts. The sights on it are really basic. It's got a very basic bladed front sight, which is non-adjustable at all. The back sight, the iron sights as we used to call them, they're it's plastic. I'm just going to see if I can focus it a little bit better on there. It's got left and right adjustments. So I'll show you how to zero it. Forget about the up and down. Okay, I'll talk about that when we come to zeroing. Okay, it's decocked. Safety catch is on. And I'm looking forward to firing that. And I've seen some guys on loads of video. I've been looking at loads of videos on there. And they shoot with rests. They have like a tripod on the table, and they put it on the table on the tripod, and they're aiming at 20 metres. I mean, that would be considered cheating in my day. We had to hold the gun, actually physically stand there holding the gun before we took the shot. You know, if you rested it on something, that was classed as cheating and you got disqualified. It's probably just to save the British Army money in bipods, because when I changed my personal weapon from the SLR to the Bren gun, the 7.62 NATO Bren gun, they just recalibrated them for the NATO rounds. That thing had a built-in bipod. You put the bipod down, get in the prone position, get the thing sighted up 300 yards on iron sights, and you could chew the bullseyes out of the target. I mean, the gun was that good. It was really, really good. But you could never have done that without the bipod. So I would put a bipod. I would recommend a bipod. You can get universal bipods, although the fatness of that barrel will probably make it difficult. So some sort of rest to put it in would be good, because I'm 60 years old and 61. So I'm probably not going to be as good at holding it up. It's not heavy though. It's not a heavy gun. It's not a heavy gun at all. But if I can't hit the target with an air rifle at 50 to 100 yards, I don't know what the range would be on this. But I don't think I need a telescopic sight. But I would recommend a bipod of some description, or a rest, for sure. Now, I don't know what the range is on this gun. I don't know how powerful it is. We are allowed 18 foot-pounds in Spain, and they seem to sell them these days on feet per second. The figure mentioned there is 1,200 feet per second, which I don't believe for 1 minute. That's about 800 miles an hour. And you'd have to get that kind of figure. I mean, I don't know where they come. You'd have to use the lightest pellet in the world, and I still don't believe you could get 1,200 feet. I think that's an unrealistic amount. I'm thinking more 800, 900, although without a chronograph, I don't know. So if anyone's got a Crosman Shockwave Spanish edition, I would imagine the American edition would be the same. I would like to know what realistic figures you get on your chronograph. I don't have a chronograph. Okay. So my next video will be shot number 1. I've got 16 yards in my garden, and we'll be setting up a bit of a target, and I'll show you how to zero the weapon. I'm just going to use the iron sights. So what we want really is a big piece of paper with an X in the middle, okay, and our aiming point will be the dead center of the X. Okay, and all we're trying to achieve when we're zeroing it at 16 yards is hopefully we'll fire like 5 shots and we'll get a tight little grouping somewhere on the sheet. If it's off to the left, it's off to the right of the center line. Okay, then we're going to adjust the sights left or right to bring the grouping into the center. We want it on that line somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's above the cross or below it or right on it. It doesn't matter. Because what does matter is the fact that we get it dead in line on the centre, so our aiming point is where we're shooting at. The up and down, that's range. Depends what range you're shooting at. You've got to adjust your sights up or down for range, but the most important initially is to get it in the centre so it is dead in line with the centre of the target. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing on the first shooting video. I don't know exactly when we'll be doing that, but when we get the opportunity, we'll be doing that. So this was my unboxing review of the Crosman Shockwave in 177, but like I said, you can get it in 2.2. It's identical, gone with the bigger caliber. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.